Right, everyone, either it's going to be amazing or it's going to be terrible. Miss all the shots you don't take. So I thought on the Motorsport channel, Formula Fan TV, we would do a live watch-along of Abu Dhabi 2021, or obviously ahead of 2025 Abu Dhabi, just to kind of take us back and see what it's like, what were the calls like. I'm sure most of us will have watched it live, but it's such a long time ago now, 4 years ago, that I think it would be cool to watch it again. So let's see, I've got everything synced up. It's going to be like as live. I just got to hit like a button. But let's see if anyone... Welcome Zap Brit. Even 4 years later, this race gives me nightmares. Let's see if we can get like a bit of a community. And see if it's going to work. I posted in my Discord, I posted on my Insta as well, and I posted on my main channel. So let's see, because I've got it set up at the start of the formation lap, and once I press go, I don't want to like unpress go. So let me know what you think of this idea in the chat. Let me know what you think of this idea. I was thinking of watching the race anyway, so I thought, why don't we watch it together? I thought, do I do it on the main channel, or do I do it on Formula Fan TV? I thought it feels like a Formula Fan TV kind of thing, just the way it was handled. Well, we'll see. I mean, firstly, let's go down the grid. Max Verstappen in pole. So basically, the drivers are on. Look at Lando in P3. The drivers are tied on points, aren't they? Is it 3, 6, 4.5 or something each for Verstappen and Hamilton? Hamilton starting on the mediums, Verstappen starting on the softs. So at this stage, it's already advantage Verstappen. I mean, he's out-qualified Hamilton. So if the race wasn't going to run for whatever reason, they got half points, Verstappen would win it. I think that goes slightly counter the narrative, maybe. Lando in third, Perez in fourth, Bottas in sixth. I think this is one where just like Bottas... Arguably, Bottas was a way better wingman for Hamilton than Verstappen's ever had a wingman. But in this race, Perez is P4, and that's critical. Sainz P5, Leclerc P7, Tsunoda P8, Ocon P9, Ricciardo P10, Alonso P11, Gasly in P12, Lance Stroll P13, Giovinazzi P14, Vettel P15, Latifi. You know what? Let's just play it. Let's just see what happens. Are we ready, everyone? We're underway. We're underway, everyone. I need you to hit that like button for sure. And chat, because let's see if this works or doesn't work. I hope it works. When I say it works, just like people want to come and watch. Because if people don't want to come and watch, it hasn't worked, and that's fair enough. We gave it a shot. Going back this far shows you how some drivers are gone. Yes, Tsunoda now dropping out of Formula 1, at least for a team. Stroll in P13, Latifi P16, Russell P17. Easy to forget that Latifi's out-qualified Russell here, but remember Russell... But they were both young then, weren't they? Raikkonen in P18, Mick Schumacher P19, and I can't remember who's in P20. Who are we missing here? The other Haas. Whoever was in the other Haas. Maybe it was Magnussen, I can't remember. Maybe this was a what's his name, Mazepin season. Ocon was at Alpine back then. Alfonso 2, Gasly in the AlphaTauri, yeah. Look at Tsunoda all the way up in P8 there. Unfortunately, you know, you feel like Tsunoda's have enough time in Formula 1 and most of a season in Red Bull that he's kind of, you know, he's had a good shot. Zach Sainz and the Ferrari. Mick Schumacher, yeah, last ever race for Raikkonen. What a dramatic race it was for Kimi. OG Kimi. But this was all about Max and Lewis. I mean, that's Lewis's steering wheel. Exactly the same steering wheel I've got here, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. What do you think of Norris out-qualifying Ricciardo by so much, Zach, by the way? Look at Norris all the way up there in P3. Big Lando. Okay, so the drivers are forming up. Drivers are going for their formation lap. Sorry, drivers are going for their grid slot, having done the formation lap. Norris destroyed him in this qualifying. Christian Horner's still back at Red Bull at this stage. We're going back a long time. A long time. 58 laps of Abu Dhabi. Everyone taking their grid slot. I've got the last few forming up now, so as I see it, the Aston Martin safety car's at the back. Green flag waving, 1 red lights, 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. Lights go out. Lewis was on the inside. And Lewis straight ahead into P1. So much for that qualifying. And Perez into P3 because Lando went all the way wide in the McLaren. And both of the Ferraris gained as well. So Verstappen lost out, but Perez gained a bit. And they're both on the soft tyre, both of the Red Bulls. So at this stage, Hamilton's world champion. Welcome, McGurkin. Good to see you. You've joined us here just for the race start. We're on lap 1 right now. So Lando lost 3 places on the start. Oh, and then that was the move by Verstappen on Hamilton. Hamilton went across the... he cut the corner at turn 6 and stayed in the lead. I can't remember. I think didn't the stewards have a look at it? There's no penalty to Hamilton there. But that was already high stakes. You can see Hamilton missed the apex. Well, he completely cut the track there to stay ahead. I'd forgotten that Verstappen was on pole, to be honest. So Verstappen was on pole. Hamilton gets him back. And Hamilton on the medium tyre now. McGurkin remembers it like it was yesterday. Hamilton on those mediums. Verstappen and Perez. You just felt like Verstappen's massively fired up for this. They're already dropping Perez. Perez already over 2 seconds behind Hamilton at this stage. Carlos Sainz up in P4. I think Norris recovered a position, got back past Charles Leclerc. Cars look so good as well. Now as they go down the straight, Hamilton is more than a second behind ahead of Verstappen. But I remember, because if you're a Red Bull fan, you're screaming that Hamilton needs to get a penalty there or give the position back. So even though Hamilton was a second ahead, it didn't felt like it meant too much. Okay, you swapped all your memories for this. And then once you go into turn 9, there isn't really anywhere else where you can overtake. There's a big send from Verstappen, and there was if I remember, a little bit of contact as well. And Hamilton just seemed a little bit vulnerable here to huge sends, if I remember. So 1.3 second gap for Hamilton. Perez still kind of hanging there. Remember, the Red Bull was quick. Valtteri Bottas massively out of position. Bottas losing 2 places. So Bottas on the mediums can't be much help there. And then race control already investigated and determined already looked at it and determined no investigation needed. So Michael Massey was quick on these. that once the race settled in, Hamilton starts gapping Max big style. He's on those mediums. Remember the Mercedes, you know, some cars prefer different tyres here, didn't they, basically? Russell's all the way down in 19th at the moment. Oh, there isn't a 20th car, so that second Haas car didn't make it to the start. And this is when you had, incredibly, FIA to team radio on the broadcast, which I thought was fantastic. I mean, how dramatic was that? You have to remember, right now, I think it feels like Hamilton is just going to... He's a 7-time world champion. Hamilton is just going to stretch his legs here. But you let me know in the chat, how did it feel for you? How did you feel about it? Michael Massey going to... You know, they're all wearing face masks as well. It's still COVID time. Still COVID indoors, isn't it? I think it's face masks indoors or something. Or I think F1 are quite strict rules. Pretty sure this was the only year. Yeah, but I loved it. I thought it was so good. I thought it was so good. I think they just should have regulated it, like you have 3 calls per race or something. But it actually felt way more transparent than what we have now. I think it ended up just being highly embarrassing to Formula 1 for obvious reasons. So you can see Hamilton 1.6. Perez is still kind of there. And Bottas is behind Tsunoda. Arguably, Hamilton's kind of in the position that Verstappen's in this season, where his teammates just absolutely nowhere. I think that was Bottas maybe going through the back of shot. Who else has gained? Raikkonen gained a few positions in his last race. So Hamilton is already 7 seconds ahead of Carlos Sainz here. And he's 4 laps into the race. I'll have a look at the race start again. It was just a great start from Hamilton on the inside. Verstappen couldn't really do anything. The game was gone. It almost felt like Verstappen knew. McGurkin remembers thinking at the time this is not the end. It all happened so quickly, didn't it, basically? Hamilton with the clutch thing. He was a 10th quicker reaction time than Verstappen, which is pretty insane, I think. A 10th there, when we think about qualifying. I wonder if because Verstappen, I think, if both of them didn't finish, I think Verstappen was going to win it on countback. So when Verstappen did that massive lunge on lap 1, I wonder if Hamilton really originally thought, we'll just make contact. But, you know, then he knew that, hang on, if we both get knocked out here, then I'm going to lose a championship. Because it was almost it was a send by Max Verstappen that was just kind of ridiculous. And that's why there was there's no further investigation needed. But almost the overtake attempt itself was a bit silly. But you can't really penalise an overtake attempt. Was that pretty sure? Yeah, if they both crashed out, Max would have won it on countback. Yeah. So it was almost like a little bit advantage to Verstappen, wasn't it? A little bit advantage to Verstappen. Charles Leclerc, P6 right now. You can see it's just the rest of them are in a different race, frankly. And this must be because Hamilton's trying to get a gap to Carlos Sainz to drop in. But this is the thing. If Sergio Perez was where Bottas is now, this is a completely different race. Because if Hamilton boxes, he's going to jump all the way behind Sergio Perez. So it's a completely different dynamic to this race. And it would be the same. By the way, the interesting thing about this season with Lando and Oscar and Max is that no one is expecting that second Red Bull to be up there. Like literally not one person on the planet. But if you think about it, in normal circumstances, you'd expect the second car to kind of be there. And that would have massive ramifications. Massive. McGurkin, Max must have been wound up. Yeah, I think so. If you're Max, and you see Lewis cut the corner, I think you must be like, that must just really see red flags, red mist, everything. Can we just appreciate that the leaders are going 3 seconds a lap quicker than the guys at the back? Meanwhile, oh, Sebastian Vettel was trying to do a move on Lance Stroll. They were teammates. Fair play for Sonoda. Yeah, but it's like, Sonoda can't even do anything. And almost he's not really incentivized now either. Now he's being dropped. He's not really incentivized. Which I find quite interesting from a timing perspective. Hamilton 2 seconds ahead of Max, and they're lapping 2 seconds a lap quicker than Sainz, Norris, Leclerc, etc. So they are absolutely rapid here. Absolutely rapid. Because if Verstappen, yeah. Surprised Bottas just can't do anything to get past Sonoda though. Bottas got DRS here. Nothing doing at all. So 7 laps in. It's looking pretty good for Lewis right now. Pretty good. I mean, he's on the harder compound and he's gapping Max Verstappen. But Sergio Perez is that key player right here, because Hamilton's not going to be able to box and come out ahead of Sergio Perez. Another fastest lap for Hamilton as well, 28.5. It's been in 28.5s, I think, a lot. There's a little bit almost like a Norris train now. Norris, Leclerc, Sonoda, Bottas. But if Verstappen were to box now,
okay, crack on.
He'd still come out behind Bottas. He needs to build that gap. Right now, given this Lewis Hamilton, this Mercedes team, you must just think it's pretty impenetrable. Everything working in clockwork. It's just Sergio Perez. How can the streets forget about Sergio Perez for this drive? So at what point will we see the pit stop start? Are you enjoying the stream, F1? Are you enjoying the concept? Let me know if you're enjoying the concept or not. What do you reckon? Hamilton over the line, another 28.5. Verstappen a 28.8. Carlos Sainz, what's Sainz going to be? 30.2, so 1.5 seconds slower. It's not like Carlos Sainz is hanging around here. Sergio Perez pace is quite impressive as well. McGurkin don't really understand why they were dropping now. Yeah, I think maybe there's just real drive to promote Hadjar. And Hadjar's been my rookie of the season, so I get it. But it's funny, you see what Hadjar's doing this season. It's kind of like what Sonoda was doing here. Sonoda's in P7 ahead of Bottas. I think what's going to be really interesting in Abu Dhabi this season is qualifying. If one of the McLarens messes up qualifying and they end up behind Sonoda, what can Sonoda do? Because this Mercedes was very good. And Bottas can't do anything here. Zach forgot how far the top 3 was ahead of 4th already. Yeah. 20% way through the race already. Yeah, the rake they were running on that Red Bull was crazy. Crazy rake. Seems very different to how the cars are angled now. Hamilton almost 3 seconds ahead in the medium. Yeah, but Bottas... I think Bottas was falling off this season. Yeah, Bottas was falling off this season. And it's costing Mercedes here. Because Bottas should at least be in that gap between Perez and Carlos Sainz, I would say, given the car. McGurking Hadjar would be mincemeat. We'll see, we'll see. We'll see, I've been very impressed with Hadjar. Very impressed. Three seconds ahead for Hamilton now. Are the soft runners in a safety car window? Because maybe the soft runners are in a safety car window. Get onto those hard tyres. It felt like there were a lot of rookies here, like a lot of people that could make a mistake. Russell, Mick Schumacher, Latifi, Stroll, Giovinazzi, even, let's just say, Tsunoda, maybe a bit harshly, but you felt like they could all make a mistake. Yeah, Bottas just dropped off at the wrong time, right? He won the Monza sprint, okay. That Max move was such a classic Verstappen move, and I think Hamilton was a bit wise to it on that one. In his mirrors all the time. He even put his hand up in frustration, saying, what was that? Bit of like a karting thing. Mick Schumacher in the pits already, on the off the soft tyre. So Verstappen pits now, not under safety car. He's still going to come out behind Sainz, Norris, etc. Needs a little bit more laps. But if there's a safety car around now, then may be able to pit and come out depending on what happens. This is where having a teammate changes things massively on a safety car, because if there's a safety car, if it's just Hamilton and Verstappen, it's kind of like can cover each other. But with Perez can do the opposite. So if Hamilton and Verstappen don't pit under safety car, Perez could pit, potentially keep track position and be on softer tyres, fresher tyres, and Verstappen lets him have a go at Hamilton. Whereas if Hamilton and Verstappen pit, then Perez can stay out. Which is quite interesting. Would he mix Schumacher with that going on to the hard tyre? So wonder if more of the soft runners pit this lap. Hamilton gap just going up to 5 seconds, just in the groove right now. It's completely odds on Hamilton at this point. Another 128.5 for Hamilton. So 129.2 for Verstappen. McGurkin, the rookies have all impressed us here at different points. Yeah, I'd agree. Cola Pinto, maybe not. I'm not sure Doohan had enough time. Zach Britt, the Grand Effect era has been interesting. Yeah, who knows what will happen in 2026? I mean, this certainly is a bigger pace difference delta than we see in 2025. Like, I don't think you see the McLaren 21 seconds ahead of 4th place with 13 laps, in my opinion. I don't think we're quite there. Esteban Ocon having a good race in P9. Valtteri Bottas just literally nowhere. Almost looks like Bottas has kind of checked out. Which is not what you want, where Perez is right on it. At this stage, Perez can clearly drive the Red Bull. Norris was losing gears. Oh yeah, so Red Bull just came out in the garage. And it wasn't a bluff, so Verstappen comes in now off the softs onto the hards, and is that because he's going to come out ahead of Carlos Sainz? So Verstappen off the soft tyre onto the hards, and yeah, he built up enough of a gap to come out ahead of Sainz, so Red Bull backed themselves. Yeah, we're not counting Lawson either. In fact, no, he doesn't. So Verstappen comes out behind Sainz. In fact, he's still got to go under the tunnel. He might come out behind a few more. That was very risky from Red Bull. Was he side by side with Leclerc? Oh my goodness, he was side by side with Leclerc, and Leclerc just drove off the track like a missile. So Leclerc was all over the shop. Tsunoda got past Leclerc there, so Verstappen just eats up Lando, just absolutely eats Lando on that straight. He's not really losing too much time. And now Verstappen on that hard tyre that presumably could go till the end here. Whereas Hamilton's on a different strategy, potentially. Could go on the hards here. Yes, so Hamilton is going to cover him off. He's going to cover off the undercut. Goes on the hard tyre. Where will he be with Carlos Sainz? He's definitely going to be behind Sergio Perez, so at some point he's going to have to get past Sergio Perez. And Sergio Perez, we know, is a bit of a tyre master. Looks like Hamilton's going to come out well ahead of Carlos Sainz. "44 laps." Yeah, Hamilton's now gone on to those hards. Interesting, they didn't mess about. They covered it immediately. They didn't wait for a bit of a window, safety car window. They just... I did think that at the time, you know. I thought if Hamilton's built up an advantage, he could try and stay out a bit longer here and then have fresher hards at the end. But no, not messing around, just covering off Verstappen. He was about 5 seconds behind. So will they do something with Sergio Perez here? Will they keep Sergio Perez out? Surely they can't keep Sergio Perez out for too long, because he's on the soft tyre and Hamilton should just breeze past him. But let's see. Red Bull can afford to completely sacrifice Sergio Perez here. Perez doesn't pit. Well, Leclerc is now holding up Valtteri Bottas a little bit. Anyone else off the soft tyre going to pit? Carlos Sainz doesn't pit. It's interesting that the lead is almost in a bit... Oh, Charles Leclerc does pit. That will unleash Bottas a bit. In fact, a load of drivers coming into the pits. Leclerc, Ocon... Actually, I say a load, just Leclerc and Ocon. Sergio Perez last lap 129.5. Verstappen a 128.4. So you imagine Lewis will be around that pace. So Hamilton's 9 seconds ahead. He's going to catch Perez. Verstappen, meanwhile, still hasn't got past Carlos Sainz, interestingly. Sainz on those soft tyres. I wonder whether Verstappen kind of forced Lewis into pitting really early. And it was actually a bit of a suboptimal strat for Verstappen, but it was more, the benefit was more compromising Lewis. Verstappen still behind Carlos Sainz. Oh, Verstappen had a huge moment as well on the last corner. Went all over the curb. Almost lost it. Hamilton now 8 seconds behind Sergio Perez. It's getting closer. Without Sergio Perez in this position, it's a completely different race. Because without Sergio Perez, Hamilton's just he's in first place, track position, and in reality also.
Focus on the race ahead.
Verstappen there looked like it's getting very close to Carlos Sainz. Well, let's see what Perez is going to do. It's almost like Perez has driven too quickly, because at the moment Hamilton's just in clear air. If you really want to mess Hamilton up, Perez should be a bit closer to Hamilton. That'd be quite an obvious thing to do if you really dropped Perez back there. 29.9 for Perez. I mean, maybe he is, because Perez is on Lando pits. So Perez was going the same place at Lando, but Lando now boxes. It's interesting, you got Bottas on the back of Tsunoda, Hamilton approaching the back of Perez. 5.6 seconds is the gap at the front. So it's really coming down now. And Verstappen was struggling with Carlos Sainz, but I think he's going to get it done here. Is he? He sends it. He sends it. Yeah. Verstappen gets it done. Into 6. Sainz kind of tried to have a go coming back, but there wasn't anything doing there. Some cars with lap times deleted, going over the white lines. Hamilton just 4 seconds behind Sergio Perez now. Very, very, very close. Very close. You feel like if Bottas had a bit more pace and wasn't behind all that traffic, Bottas could be somewhere around Carlos Sainz now. But Verstappen in the Red Bull was just so clear of Bottas in the Mercedes here in terms of pace. It's Ricciardo's in the pits. $40 laps left. So people are putting on those hard tyres. Hamilton 2 seconds behind Sergio Perez. They're going to hit the back of this pack, aren't they? Because the pace they're going. 27.8 for Hamilton. It almost feels like Perez is being deliberately slow now, but he is on those worn tyres. But Hamilton's now one second behind. He's got to get... He had to get past Perez quickly. That's what Oscar did so well in Qatar. I can't remember who it was on, but it was such an insane move. So Hamilton in DRS, But potentially Perez has just been harvesting battery the last couple of laps, not deploying it at all. Because he's not racing for himself anymore. He's purely here as a roadblock. So let's see Perez's top speed here. 300s. So Hamilton ahead here, but then doesn't it swap? No, Perez just outbraked him. So Perez came back. And Hamilton then with the double DRS a long way ahead of Hamilton, a long way ahead of Perez, but doesn't defend the inside to the white line. It's a bit of a lazy defense by Hamilton. And Perez comes straight through, and then you're going to be behind Perez for a whole sector again. Looking at the likes of Charles Leclerc in the slipstream, 309, 311. So I don't think it was like Perez was going particularly fast down the back straight. Hamilton's still behind Perez. And all this time now, yes, oh my goodness, 133 for Hamilton. 128.3 for Verstappen. So Verstappen's gained 5 seconds on that lap. So this is absolute masterclass from Sergio Perez. He's in a Red Bull sandwich. Hamilton goes to the outside down the straight. Does Perez come back at him? No, he doesn't. Into 6. Perez was able to slow Hamilton down by at least 5 seconds, probably more, because half of this lap as well, and then just completely get us out of the way for Verstappen. And then presumably will box. And that's kind of Perez's work done. So it's closed up Verstappen onto Hamilton. It's now a 1.3 second gap. So great work by Sergio Perez. McGurkin, it's not against the rules. How it's not dirty. It's not exactly great. It could be one of those things that's like technically against the rules. If there's like something in the rules that's like every driver has to try and do their best to win, to get the best position they can, then it would be against that rule. It's seems like quite an obvious rule, but it's probably not written down. That by entering the race, you commit to doing the best for yourself. But that doesn't work with team orders. Don't think Perez was on Lewis Hamilton's Christmas list. I mean, if Perez really wanted to do it, he could have just crashed into Hamilton. That's the really interesting thing. Like, there's some arbitrary kind of limit, and that arbitrary limit is that if Perez crashed into Hamilton on purpose, it would cost Red Bull more in losing goodwill in their brand than they gain by Max becoming a world champion. So, but Perez driving deliberately slowly for like quite a few laps and losing all this time, that will just get forgotten. Is my kind of assumption on it. Hamilton now stretching out the gap again, 2 seconds. 36 laps left. Did Perez box? But Perez's last lap was a 36.8. So, pretty obvious what Perez was doing. I think that included the pit though. The thing is, like, you can draw that line arbitrarily anywhere. Like, what if it was Tsunoda in the RB or the Toro Rosso? Would you tell Tsunoda to do it? What if it was a Mercedes-engined McLaren there, would you tell the McLaren to do it? So there's all sorts of permutations and differences on where you draw the line and what's acceptable, what isn't. It's pretty sad how Bottas just can't get past Tsunoda. Yeah, 2.5 seconds now, the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen. Got still Latifi and Russell on the medium tyres, Vettel on the medium tyres. Alfonso and Gasly started on that hard tyre, they're going to go long. But you know, this was meant to be the end of the race. You never know how it's going to go. So Tsunoda comes in. Bottas now, on paper, is in P3, but really he's a million miles off here, it's Bottas. Oh, that Toro Rosso was an ugly looking car. Some of the cars look good, some of them look ugly. For sure. That thinking back here, only one team name has changed since Alfa Romeo, which now kicks Sauber. No, I think wasn't it still Toro Rosso here? Didn't that change? I mean, they've all changed names a little bit because they've all got like sponsors. Like next season, it's going to be Mastercard McLaren. Shame we weren't able to encourage more people to join here, I think, a little bit, isn't it? I thought it would be an interesting idea, but you miss all the shots you don't take. It's quite fun to watch this race. Yeah, AlphaTauri. Yeah, the Sauber one went through quite a few revisions. So Bottas is ahead of Perez, but needs to box again. Anyway, Perez's work is done here. Even though Perez's work is done, but he's still going to finish P3. Yeah, I just thought we'd wing it. Thought we'd wing it. Perez actually now on fire. I think I like Toro Rosso. AlphaTauri just didn't really. For me, Toro Rosso, that second team. Or Minardi. So Hamilton 3 seconds ahead with 33 laps to go. Oh, now there's a yellow flag here. Okay, so here Raikkonen and Mick Schumacher. So yellow flag. Does it turn into anything more? It's a big braking zone. Still a yellow flag. Raikkonen has stopped. So still time to the start-finish line here. This is the thing. Verstappen has a completely free pit stop, track clear. But if there was a safety car there, Verstappen still got a free pit stop to Bottas, essentially. So what was up with Kimi? I'm not sure. He just stopped and then started going again. Can't see any damage on the car. That Alfa Romeo looks so good, by the way. It looks so good in person as well. Just the way that white would like glint on it. It's Raikkonen kind of nursing it back. Did he spin and then it stalled? Well, it looked like it wouldn't change gear. So he was in eighth gear. He actually touched the barrier in eighth gear. Some kind of gearbox failure, maybe. Such a good-looking car. So they've lapped Russell here. Russell's had some kind of issue. He's a lap down. In fact, is Russell driving very slowly? 140 kilometers an hour down the straight. Yeah, Russell's in big trouble. So what does Russell do? That Raikkonen, they've parked it in the pits. That gearbox failure, so that was his last race in Formula 1.
Okay, crack on.
I don't remember how much Lewis DLC was, but we didn't. I don't think the price has been announced yet. So Russell's going through the last sector very slowly. Hamilton 4 seconds ahead. What happened with Russell? Oh, that's back when they had the amazing steering wheel. Really nice steering wheel that was. I think he was taking some cut throughs as well. So almost halfway through the race, Lewis is 4 seconds ahead, but Verstappen has a free pit stop behind him. Bottas is going very long on the mediums. Very long on those mediums. That was Kimi done. And Russell came in as well. That was Russell done. Verstappen fast that lap. 28.1 for Hamilton, 27.9 for Verstappen. Bottas a second a lap slower on those worn mediums. Hamilton's going to hit Schumacher soon. It's interesting to see Vettel at the back here in that Aston Martin in P14, because that's where we're seeing Hamilton these days. This very quickly you go from the top to the bottom. It's interesting that turn 9 is right by the coast. That's something you'd appreciate, I think. Four seconds the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen. Difference is Vettel's still beating his teammate. Yeah, but Lance Stroll's no Charles Leclerc. Let's put it like that. I mean, Carlos Sainz being Charles Leclerc here. But that was fastest lap of the race for Hamilton. Just looks like Hamilton looks like he's in complete control at this point. Latifi's lap just boxed. Perez is catching Valtteri Bottas very quickly. When Bottas pits, I know Alonso's got a pit as well, but Bottas is really very much off the pace here. Hamilton turning the screw a little bit. Half a second quicker last lap. And again, Verstappen has the option of a completely free pit stop here if he wants it. Perez doesn't quite have a free pit stop because Carlos Sainz, he's come up behind Carlos Sainz. But it's interesting because if Perez had a free pit stop, if there was a safety car here, you could pit Verstappen and Perez, as there goes Bottas. You could pit Verstappen and Perez, then you could swap Perez and Verstappen and have Perez give a real go at Hamilton. Because if Perez and Hamilton make contact and they both crash out, then that's great news for Red Bull and Verstappen. Hamilton with DRS on Mick Schumacher. Look at Bottas there, like behind Norris, behind Leclerc, behind Sainz. Someone has gained on Tsunoda, so Tsunoda's really lost out. Just checking actually, Perez. No, he doesn't have a free pit stop. It's just like a big gap there, but he doesn't have a free pit stop. Latifi with his fastest lap of the race. Bottas all over Charles Leclerc. There's potential here for Bottas. Again, if there's a safety car here, Alonso and Gasly will box, so if Bottas can get past Charles Leclerc, he wouldn't be that many cars behind. Yeah, Hamilton 5 seconds is the gap so far. Now Verstappen will try and get past. Giovinazzi holding up both the Aston Martins. Another fastest lap for Hamilton, 27.4.
Full concentration, anything can happen still.
26 laps to go, and also Abu Dhabi gets darker, gets more into night time. Bottas tried to send it on Leclerc, but it was very wishy-washy. 20 laps away from controversy. I mean, at this point, a safety car here is just terrible news for Lewis Hamilton, because if there's a safety car here, Hamilton can't pit. I don't think Hamilton can pit here. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, Hamilton has got a pit stop on Perez. What do you do here? If there's a safety car this lap, What do you do with if you're Hamilton?
Keep trying.
I think the obvious answer is you don't pit, and then the even more obvious answer is Verstappen pits. Or I remember thinking this. It's actually the obvious answer that you do pit Hamilton, because Hamilton just has more pace than Verstappen. And therefore I wonder, is it Mercedes? If they say to go Hamilton with pit, probably. Yeah, I just wonder if they're worried about Verstappen putting Hamilton in the wall or something. So maybe Verstappen's like aggressive driving style is actually affects the strategy other teams do. Potentially. $25 laps to go. I think what this race is showing is that having a teammate in the mix can help so much. But even if Perez hadn't held up Hamilton, or Hamilton had got held by Perez, it's only about what, 8 seconds maybe that it cost Hamilton. So Verstappen would still be like 13 seconds behind. Hamilton wouldn't quite have a free pit stop if there's a safety car. Don't think. Yeah, if Hamilton get a free pit stop, that's a different story. But I think even without Perez, I don't think it would go like that. I might be wrong. Bottas does get past Charles Leclerc. Mission Winnow. Did anyone complete Mission Winnow? Mission Winnow. Let's rename this channel Mission Winnow. Giovinazzi dropping a few positions there. So I can't remember if there was contact between Giovinazzi and the Aston Martin. There's 24 laps to go. Giovinazzi very slow now. Hamilton's got past Giovinazzi. Verstappen's got past Giovinazzi. It's the second Alfa Romeo.
Keep your head down.
Yeah, no, I just find Mission Winner very funny, just like a name. Ooh, Giovinazzi now come to a stop. So, did they bank on a safety car? No. So Giovinazzi's come to a stop off circuit, but you're not going to be able to recover that car, I think, without a safety car or a VSC. Was VSC available here? Because he's on the fast exit. The other thing is, if you box Hamilton here, you're going to have Perez behind you. So you might be worried about Perez on the restart. So now it's VSC. Who's going to dive? Yeah, Alonso. Oh, I'm surprised Alonso hasn't dived in there, considering he's due a stop. And Gasly. Very surprised they haven't. Would Ocon dive in? Does Ocon feel like he hasn't got much to lose? No, Ricciardo may have the least to lose. No, Ricciardo doesn't dive in. So no one fancies nibbling at this VSC. Apart from Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc nibbled. They took the chicanes at T5 to 9mm hairpins. I think T5 is fine. I think T9 would be better as a hairpin, or like a corner like after the straight at Circuit of the Americas. But like I said, that's where the coast is. They do have a bit more room to play with. That's where the coast is. But I agree that T9 should be an easier overtaking opportunity. I'm sure you could also do something around turn 1 as well. I think there's quite a bit of space around turn 1. So VSC out. So there goes Verstappen. So Verstappen boxed under safety car.
Focus on the right head.
So Verstappen gets a free... Well, it's not a free pit stop because he's lost time on the VSC, but he's got a cheap pit stop. So Verstappen's got a cheap pit stop. He's now 23 seconds behind, but that's under VSC, so we don't know what the true pace is. Presumably they're on the radio saying this needs to be a full safety car. Because if it's a full safety car now, then he gets 22 seconds for free. Meanwhile, Perez pits as well. I mean, I think that's an aggressive gamble to pit Verstappen there. Yeah, Hamilton could pit here for free, right? Unless VSC's ending, Hamilton could pit for completely free. So as it comes to the last corner, unless VSC's ending, surely Hamilton should pit for free here. Free pit stop for Hamilton? No. VSC is ending. VSC is ending, but it looks like... Oh, so VSC would have ended as Hamilton was in the pits. So it wouldn't have been a fully free pit stop. It wouldn't have been fully free. Just need to resync. Resync my stuff. So now Hamilton's got 17 seconds, but Verstappen on fast tyres. So let's see what happens here. It would have ended as he exited the pits. But essentially, he would have covered off Verstappen, which is what they did in the first stop. They covered off Verstappen, even though Hamilton was on medium tyres, not soft tyres, and could have got longer. I wonder if they didn't want to make a call there. Sometimes the easiest call to make is a nothing call. Yeah, but at this stage, now it looks obscene. Still, if there's a safety car at this stage, right now if there's a safety car, depending on timing, Hamilton can pit, right? But I feel like a VSC is a safer bet under safety car, a safer bet for pitting, because if you pit under VSC, you know everyone else on the track is limited on Delta. If you pit under a safety car, some cars might be catching up to the safety car. Well, let's see what happens. 20 laps to go. McGurkin at this point, I remember thinking Hamilton had it in the bag. I feel like that's an aggressive pit stop from Red Bull, where they're trying to force something. Can I respect them for it? I respect them for it because the current strat. That didn't seem like a particularly sensible idea from Red Bull, but the current strat definitely wasn't going to work. So why not try this? That's kind of what I feel about it. Let's have a look at the sector times. He's not going that much faster than Hamilton. Hamilton's in traffic, frankly. 26.7. So Hamilton's just in the groove. I wonder if Hamilton's almost got too much of a gap. Mentally, just like, oh, I've got so much time. 26.1, so 6 tenths. To be fair, 6 tenths, not too bad. If you get up to a second a lap, then you're talking. They were eating their tyres. It's Hamilton with a 15-second gap at the moment. I think at this stage you must feel that even if there's a safety car, another VSC, Hamilton's just like a pit stop ahead, because the Hamilton pace is... It's not like the Verstappen pace is miles quicker than the Hamilton pace here, even on new tyres. Hamilton's going to hit a load of traffic. So Hamilton actually had a quicker sector 2 than Verstappen had. May have opened DRS there, I'm not sure. .9 now. I mean, even Perez is going quicker than Verstappen at this point. So I don't know what's... I think they're all just super quick, aren't they? Fernando, Alonso going around the outside of Gasly. Oh, then losing it. Oh, cheeky move from Alonso. Whoa! See, Alonso got... Oh my goodness, and went completely off the track and then cut it. See if Alonso gets a penalty for that, because if he doesn't, he was dealing, I think, with Gasly. Kind of maybe how Hamilton should have dealt with Perez. The interesting thing with Hamilton and Perez, right, is Hamilton lost way more than 5 seconds with Perez. So if Hamilton needed to take a 5-second penalty, that would have been faster than sitting behind Perez. Sync this up. Did Gasly just box? What's going on? 17 laps to go. Sergio Perez still in P3. Verstappen 4 tenths. Not going to do it, but again, safety car windows and everything. Right now, the other thing is, if there's a safety car right now, it's gonna come out the pits or wait at turn 1 to pick up Hamilton. So no one else is going to be caught by that safety car. Yes, there'll be double yellows and stuff around the place, but no one else is going to be slowed down by that safety car. So if Hamilton boxes on the safety car, he's not. I don't think he's going to gain much benefit. It's not like everyone else is going to be in the train. Who would gain is like, if there was a safety car now and it's just picked up Hamilton, whoever's racing with Vettel and Stroll, they could now benefit from safety car because Vettel and Stroll will be driving slowly. Maybe. I'm losing track. Norris, Swift, Bottas and his DRS, yes. Down the back straight. "16 laps to go." Hamilton's going to hit all that traffic as well. Vettel and Lance Stroll very close on lap times there, interestingly. So at this point in the race, Hamilton, apart from Mick Schumacher, has the most worn tyres in the race. So that is a bit where they're exposed, but this is why I think Hamilton boxed a little early, because if Hamilton had the mediums could go a lot longer than the softs at the beginning. They would have also benefited from the safety cars, but it felt like they wanted to just cover Max at all costs. Yeah, so Red Bull was saying it's a long time Hamilton to go, so maybe everyone kind of knew, hang on, that's going to be a long stint on those hard tyres, which might make it even more surprising that they didn't box Hamilton under safety car also, under VSC. Surely once Verstappen boxed under VSC, it was just obvious to box Hamilton. Maybe that's the big thing here. Because you know you're going to be on very worn tyres at the end of the race. The other interesting thing is that Hamilton has just, I think, had much better pace than Max generally in this race. It's a bit like Oscar in Qatar. It's, if you have better pace and you don't win the race, I think there's been massive strategy issues. Because surely you could have just done the same strategy as people that beat you, and you have more pace than them. $14 laps to go, everyone. It's been fun doing it, actually. Like I said, I wanted to watch this race, so why not do it all together? And the concept works. Sometimes you've got to prove out a concept. Now Hamilton's hitting that big traffic going into the points, going all the way into P9. Still about 14 seconds on Verstappen. I think another interesting thing here is that no overtaking under safety car. So Verstappen's behind Vettel, Hamilton behind Ricciardo. Going to be going on to lap 47. It's gone so quickly, this race. Oscar Piastri was the 2021 F2 champion in the Alpine garage. Get ready for this weekend, Oscar. You've got your own dramatic storyline to be part of. Bottas desperately trying to get past Lando. Decent recovery by Lando, actually. It's a terrible start. Hamilton's got the two Alpines to get past. Yeah, so Oscar Piastri. Then what does he replace? I'm losing track of seasons now. Does he replace Ricciardo in 22? Or was he doing? Because you can never defend your F. No one's ever defended their F2 title, have they? So what was Oscar doing in 22? Because 23 was McLaren, 24 was McLaren, 25 is McLaren. So what was Oscar doing in 2022? Did he move to like Alpine reserve driver essentially? I mean, you look at this, Oscar Piastri, you know, the Alpines are 9th and 10th. Yeah, Lando's up in P5, but Ricciardo's in P11. Doesn't at this point it doesn't look that stupid being in an Alpine. So will we see this on Sunday? Will we see Lando Norris in the Lewis Hamilton position here? Yes, he went Alpine reserve. Okay. Surely Bottas will get past Norris this time. Will he? No. Hamilton's losing a bit of time here through the traffic. Losing a bit of time. Latifi's in a battle with Mick Schumacher. Hamilton get past Alfonso here. So Alfonso is going to drag it out a bit. Maybe he'll wait to the straight. Surely not past turn 1. Nope. There goes Hamilton. 32.4 last sector. Verstappen with a 31.5. So a second slower there. I mean, Hamilton would have been slower anyway, but maybe Hamilton got a bit unlucky with the traffic. Now just 11 seconds. That gap is now probably under pit and come out in a safety car situation. The odds are stacked against him this weekend, but Oscar performs like he did last weekend. If Oscar performs like he did last weekend, I can't see the same result happening behind him. But we'll see. I can't see a Carlos Sainz popping up in P3. That's what I can't see. I can totally see Oscar dominating. And I can totally see Nando having some nerves and Verstappen finishing ahead of Lando. I just can't see anyone else in there. Like in this race, imagine Sergio Perez actually just needs to finish P3 to win the championship. I can't see anyone else finishing ahead of Sergio Perez here. Like, Carlos Sainz is 24 seconds behind. So that's the way I'm looking at it. Lando goes into the pits. Because if Oscar wins, it doesn't matter what Verstappen does. Yeah, but I don't see Lando not. The only way that will happen is if Lando has a big issue at the start. If Lando has a big issue in the start, a bit like Vettel back in the day, then I actually think Lando will still come through all of the field, and it will actually be great for Lando because he'll have gone through like this trial. I don't see Russell and Antonelli finishing ahead of Lando, no. I just don't see it. Like I said, for me, it's kind of like, I think the gaps here were bigger than we have now. But I think Perez, imagine who's going to finish ahead of Perez here. Thanks for joining us, by the way. I think it's been a lot of fun. Oh, where's my chocolate? Where's my... Who's taking my chocolate? I was like, oh, thanks for joining. Well, I'm going to have a nice chocolate, and they've all gone. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. You're completely correct. Speaking of which, lap 51. Hamilton is 11 seconds ahead. And Verstappen's about to hit all this traffic. Now, here's the thing. If there was to be a safety car on this lap, right? If a safety car happens on this lap, Verstappen boxes, Hamilton doesn't box. I don't think you box here if you're Hamilton. And what happens is the message cleared up. All of the lap cars unlap themselves, and then Verstappen has a few laps at the end on fresh softs, whatever he wants, against Hamilton on 40 lap hards. And I think Verstappen wins that every day of the week. So if there's a safety car this lap, Verstappen wins the race for me. Like, that shows you what late safety cars can do where the leader doesn't want to drop behind. Now, you could say, in hindsight, the aggressive thing to do would be to box Hamilton and put Hamilton on fresh softs. But that's such a risky thing to do. But again, it's such a... You get so much respect by doing it. Also, I think there's been a lot less safety cars this season, is my feeling. Like, I think at the end of these regs, and everyone is so... Everyone's, you know, they're not rookies like they were here. The rookies have been very good as well. So lap 52. Again, if there's a safety car here, I'd expect... And if all the lap cars can get through... So Verstappen gets past Charles Leclerc. That's one less lapped car. Now Verstappen's would have a bit of traffic to deal with. Verstappen's really caught in this train now. Now Verstappen's losing a bit of time. Back up to 12 seconds. Look at Latifi and Mick Schumacher. Latifi's been hunting down Mick Schumacher basically all race. Lando had a big send on Alonso. Okay, so you see Latifi's dicing with Mick Schumacher. Dicing. Loses out. Hits the wall. Okay, so Latifi's hit the wall now. Yellow flag. The gap is 12 seconds. I don't think you box. But the thing is, can you really have 5 laps behind safety car? This whole thing comes down to how quickly would you expect them to clear this. Now we're on the safety car. So, do they do VSC Delta anyway? Like, everyone's slowed down. But I don't think Hamilton has enough. I don't think Hamilton has enough time. Well, it says 20 seconds. Does Hamilton have enough time here to box? Let's imagine Hamilton comes in here. I think if he box Hamilton, I think Hamilton comes out ahead. Well, Latifi, it's going to be a difficult one to manage, that crash. He's like perpendicular in the track. I mean, it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult because you just get a one of those portable cranes on track. So Verstappen's boxed now, and Hamilton's been picked up by a safety car. Welcome, Vlaka. Good to see you. So Verstappen's bot, Hamilton's picked up by a safety car. I'm not sure you red flag it. I don't. For one car like that, I'm not sure you red flag it. I think the issue is are you going to finish under safety car or not? Because you can't let everyone unlap themselves. You can't let any cars unlap themselves until it's clear. Again, Red Bull have done exactly the right thing, which is they weren't going to win the race otherwise. So why not try something in case? Which is just a great philosophy.
Keep your head down.
Yeah, so that Latifi's car is not going to be able to drive off. They're not going to be able to push it. You have to crane it. So I think at this stage, if you're the race director, I know it should be all safety first, but I think you're trying to recover this car as quick as possible. And for that, you might need to get everyone into a safety car train. Mercedes were out with tyres as well. So Mercedes were out with the tyres. They had mediums. Mercedes were out with mediums. So there's 4 laps to go. It's been quite a long time already. The purpose of the safety car is to slow the field down to allow the damage to be repaired. I think Hamilton was impatient behind the safety car. He wanted the safety car to go faster, but the safety car is there to bunch the pack up. Otherwise they could be under VSC, but this is obviously not a VSC situation. You still got Carlos Sainz in P4. Is so far off. Incredibly. And you got Gasly as well, who's pitted on safety car, which is interesting because Gasly deciding to pit now also extends the tail of the safety car.
The right head.
So there's going to be 3 laps to go. There's going to be 3 laps to go now. So even if everything's done now, and you allow all cars to unlap themselves now, you could at this point, if it was ready, you could allow all cars to unlap themselves, and you could let the safety car go now. In fact, they are. So they're craning the car now off. So the car's being craned off the track right now. They put all the the wood chip or everything down. They're sweeping everything away. They're doing an incredible job on the barrier. So if they let all cars now unlap themselves, but they can't right yet, because as we speak they're still winching that car off. I mean, it might be done on a sector basis. The car ended up on fire for a bit. So at this point, there's still people on the track. You can't let everyone unlap themselves. Hamilton's really pushing the safety car along. Perez pits as well. They pitted Perez, right, because they just didn't want any other extension to the safety car. So just minimise all risk and just get Perez out there. Which again is just fantastic thinking. This should really be studied. So if they let all cars go now, thing is, the message came up saying lap cars will not be allowed to overtake. This is that. I think. Let's pretend that message doesn't happen, because that's obviously then contradicted. But if you let all the lap cars go now, you could let all the lap cars go, and by the time you get to turn 5, say, or 6, by the time you get to turn 6, all cars will have unlapped themselves, and then you got Verstappen behind Hamilton for the last lap. So I think the point is, I think it's delayed here. If the track's clear, which I think the track is completely clear here, I think the call should be, okay, all lap cars unlap yourself, but that's just difficult to do. Because if you look at where Gasly is, Gasly shouldn't be. Who should be So Lando's the first lap car. So Lando, Alfonso, Ocon, Leclerc, Vettel, Ricciardo, Stroll, and Mick Schumacher. So Mick Schumacher is the last car on the train that should be unlapping themselves. So here we go. Lap cars are coming through. So they didn't send Ricciardo through. They didn't send Stroll through. Didn't send Mick Schumacher. I think they should have just sent those. I think that was a mistake. They should have sent Mick Schumacher, Ricciardo, and Stroll through. Because if you send those, there's plenty of time for them to get there. So if you send those through as well, then you can then you have a race start with Hamilton and Vettel, and there's no controversy. I don't think there's any controversy if they just let all the lap cars unlap themselves. And clearly they could have done that. What do we think, chat? The issue here is that you've screwed over Ricciardo here, haven't you? It doesn't really matter, because you've allowed Vettel to get so far ahead of him. I don't think it should have been a red flag, because evidently they were able to clear it. But my point is that I think the only unfair thing that's happened here is that they didn't let Ricciardo, Stroll, and Mick Schumacher unlap themselves. And Hamilton just doesn't defend it. I think if you're Hamilton here, you've got to defend that with your life, because you've only got to do 3 corners basically. You've got to defend that with your life. And then this one here, you've got to defend with your life and potentially run off track if you need to. And then here, you've already been overtaken by Perez here. So if you're ahead at this point, you just defend with your life on the inside. I mean, look at it. It was neck and neck there. Absolutely neck and neck. But this is like a cup final, like break, you know, counter-attack. See this all the time in sport. But I don't think it's that unfair. I think they just needed to let Ricciardo, Stroll, and Mick Schumacher unlap themselves. And Verstappen wins. Yeah, so I think 2 things I note from that race is that Hamilton could have pitted on the first VSC and basically just got fresher tyres. That wouldn't have actually stopped the situation at the end. It might have just mitigated it, because Hamilton would have been on still some relatively old mediums versus fresh softs. McGurkin ordinarily race enters. Yeah, but I don't think it needed to. I don't think it. Chat. Am I speaking to a void here? What stops them also saying Ricciardo, Stroll, Mick Schumacher, you also unlap yourselves? Now, if I remember, the thing that may stop them is that you're meant to do what is meant to be the next lap, right? So then you do a lap with them at the back. So if Stroll crashes a lap earlier, this is all irrelevant. But he didn't crash a lap earlier. Latifi. He crashed when he did. The other thing is that I don't think, because of the way the clear-up was, I don't think they could have let cars start lapping themselves any earlier. So I don't think the race director would have come under any criticism, really, if any criticism that would have held water, if he'd just followed protocol. Because as soon as he was able to let cars lap themselves, I think he did. So I think it would have been a better, if you're going to break the rules and not finish on safety car, I think you should at least let all cars lap themselves. There was also the message that came up saying no cars will be able to lap themselves. I think that's nonsense. I think that radio message probably colours all of our perception of this when we were watching it at the time, because you're told this isn't going to happen, then it happens. But if you take that message out of it, I think what's happened is they've just tried to go racing at the end, but again they half-assed it. No, I disagree, McGurkin. You can't say they wouldn't have had time, because what if the cherry picker is right there, and what if the guy straight there, there's no issue with finding the points in the car. Bosh, there, done. It turns out the damage on the barrier is just easily fixable, and they do it a lap earlier. I don't think Mercedes knew that it would take exactly this many laps when Latifi hit the barrier. I think in hindsight they were correct, because under normal rules it was too late. Like, Mercedes should have been celebrating once lap cars hadn't unlapped themselves and the safety car had gone over the line, because under protocol, that's it, you should win. Norris and P7, imagine it happened like this. So I've many different nuanced takes on this race. It's been really interesting to watch it back. I feel like you have to watch it with all the context. Yeah, so Red Bull were taking the strategy of the status quo is not going to work, so we may as well risk it, and they did that all along, and that's fantastic. I massively respect that. Mercedes were being conservative all the way through. They boxed really early to cover off Max on stint 1. They didn't box under VSC when they could have done. And also, I think there's a third thing. I think Mercedes could have done something crazy at the end there. I think Mercedes Okay, here's one I've never heard anyone say. Why didn't Bottas just drive up and overtake Verstappen behind a safety car? Once they said all that... In fact, I want to go back here. I want to go back, okay? Okay, at this point, chat, at this point, if you're Mercedes and you're like, well, you can't call the safety car, you can't give the directive for all cars to unlap themselves and pull in the safety car on the same lap. So at that point, if you feel rules are being broken, take it into your own hands and put Bottas ahead of Verstappen. This is my perspective on racing. I think in Qatar, Oscar Piastri should have boxed himself. I'll be honest. I'll be really honest with you. Some of these karting racing championships I've run, I've had to bend the rules a little bit myself. That's any championship. You got to take things into your own hands and sort it out with the stewards afterwards. So I just, in hindsight here, if this was a video game scenario, I would take Bottas and I'd put him ahead of Verstappen. But again, maybe Mercedes, they weren't thinking of it, but maybe in all clarity, they'd be like, oh, that's going to give us more reputational damage than Hamilton winning. If this wreck happens on lap 56, it'd been red flagged. If they didn't want to finish under safety car, that's correct. Welcome, Susie. Welcome, Hellcat. Red Bull. Yeah, that's the other thing. If you just badger people enough. But at this point, honestly, let me play it forward. At this point, I feel like, what's Bottas doing there, just sitting like a plum? You've got another car on track. I would say to Bottas, something fishy's happening. We think it's against the rules. We need to sit you ahead of Verstappen. And as Bottas, I go, yes, team, understood, copy. And I'd sit there ahead of Verstappen. And also, or I'd do this. I'd drive into the wall. Now, hang on, now we're getting quite Crashgate. Yeah, it doesn't matter who's behind Sainz. I'm saying give Bottas can get a 30-second. Bottas can get disqualified from the race. You can't drive into the wall. That's too much. So what Perez did is okay. What Perez did, which is just ignore your own race and drive 7 seconds a lap slower, that's fine. Driving into the wall is too much. That's Crashgate. We know that's too much. So is there anything in the middle there? Is there a way you can get Bottas ahead of Verstappen in the pit stop phase? Like, irrespective of laps? Hang on a second, let's go back. So, is there a way here, even if you're a lap down, you can just slot Bottas in behind Hamilton? Does anyone understand what I'm saying? So look where Bottas is here. Oh my god, there is a way you do this. There is a way you do this. This is it. This is how you do Abu Dhabi 2021 if you're Mercedes. Look. So Latifi is going to crash here, fighting with Mick Schumacher, okay? Latifi crashes at the barrier, okay? Bottas knows there's going to be a safety car, okay? He knows there's going to be a safety car because he's just seen Latifi, like, the cars ends up on fire and everything. Bottas needs to pit here. His race is irrelevant. Sorry, Bottas, mate. Your race is if Bottas pits here, he can slot in behind Hamilton in the queue. And therefore, if they don't let cars unlap themselves, Bottas is going to be ahead of Max Verstappen. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. I've solved it. So if Bottas had pitted there, you slot him in behind Hamilton, and then even if they clear up Latifi's car earlier, let me know. Let me know. I'm certain. I'm certain. All right, everyone. That's been interesting to work out. Maybe I'll make a video on that. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for joining on Formula Fan TV. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new here. We'll be back for Abu Dhabi 2025 in a few days' time on the main channel. Maybe we'll do practice on Formula Fan TV as well. And if you want to see more of these race watch-alongs, we can schedule them in advance. And maybe we can poll and be like, which ones do we want to do it? Right, now to the time machine. No, but seriously, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. And then what you do is, if Michael Massey says the cars in between Hamilton and Verstappen to unlap yourselves, you just don't unlap yourself if you're Bottas. Little bit seeing the scripts, yeah. The script. Who did they get on it? They got who's a good script writer? Right. I can hear my baby, so I gotta go, everyone. I'll see you on the main channel and Formula Fan TV. Please make sure to subscribe if you liked it here, and I'll see you in the next one.